Also, welcome to the Meetup spot. Yeah, not much intro. Having trouble speaking slow so far.
All good.
We're gonna get through it. So let's start with questions about life. Are you ready?
I am ready to go, buddy. Thank you so much for asking. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Seriously, yeah, first of all, love growing up. Yeah, love listening to you on the breeze. By the way,
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I had a good time there.
thanks. Thanks. Okay, so again, questions about life. First, tell me about yourself.
Well, I'll be celebrating my 55th birthday here in just a few weeks, July 16th. If anybody wants to send me a present or anything, I was born in Ottawa in 1970. In about 81, 82, everybody was moving west. So we moved west. We packed up I think we had a 1978 or a 1979 Country Squire wagon and headed west with my mom, my dad, my sister, our cat in the middle, and me. And we drove across the country and moved to Edmonton in about, 81 or 82. And finally got started in radio, and then got started in radio in 1992.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Radio in 92. Nice. Dang. So I, all right, radio in 92. So,
Did you want to start? Did you want to start? Did you want to start from the beginning and just start fresh? Because I
no,
think
well,
something was
no,
binging there. I think I was binging or you were binging. We can start from the beginning if you want.
no, that's okay. That's okay. I think question one all done. I think we don't need for question two, which was tell me your growing up story.
My growing up story.
Oh, okay, fine, sure. Go on.
So, like I said, I moved from Ottawa to Edmonton in 81, 82. We lived in Castle Downs up in the North End. I'm a North Side boy, so I grew up on 164th Avenue, worked at the Dairy Queen in Castle Downs when I was a kid. Started at the Little Caesars over by the original Beaumaris Mall in like 1986, 85, in and around there. Had a great time growing up in Castle Downs. Moved over to the Warwick side on Warwick Road in 1986. Went to school at Bishop Savern. That was where I did grade 6 for elementary, and then went to St. Cecilia Junior High, and then O'Leary High School in I graduated in 1988, and then went back in 89 because I wasn't really ready to, to get out there and hit the workforce and grow up and do adult things. So I went back for an extra year of grade 12, and then went to radio school shortly thereafter.
Radio school thereafter. You take any extracurricular activities in that school?
In high school, junior high, I wasn't. I played basketball briefly, if you can believe that. I was the really short kid, lippy kid, that kid, you know. In grade 6, I played basketball, but then when junior high rolled around, everybody got taller and I stayed short. So just give you an idea, when I graduated high school, I think I was maybe 5'1", and I think about 100 pounds. When I started grade 7, I was 69 pounds. Like, I was just a little little guy. I did a lot of running. I kind of beat around. I thought, maybe I want to be a cross-country runner, and I do that a little bit, and then I don't want to do that. And now I do a lot of running. But back then, as far as extracurricular activities, my summers were spent on my bicycle. It was the 80s, right? So you woke up at 7:30, 8 o'clock, you hopped on your bike, went over to your buddy's house, and you were gone for the day until, the lights came on. You made sure you were home for the lights to come on, because if you weren't, that meant you weren't home for dinner. And then mom was going to be upset, and she was going to be standing on the steps screaming and yelling your name, saying, "Where are you?" And then, you were going to hear about it.
I love it. So next is, how'd you get interested in your motocross hobby?
Motocross, wow. When I was a kid, I loved watching racing. I had one of my heroes was Ricky Johnson was his name, and he was a big time motocross racer through the 80s. He raced the Hondas, the red bikes, blue seat. I just thought RJ was fantastic. And it was just crazy expensive. My family couldn't afford it. We didn't have a lot of money. So as I got older, had a decent job, started making a couple of bucks. I bought an acreage out by Tofield in 2003, 4, somewhere around there. And I had a tiny little Honda ST90 dirt bike just to boot around the acreage and boot around some of the old dirt roads and stuff. And then I bought another dirt bike. I thought I need a couple. And I found this old 1974. It's a brand called Hodaka. They were out of Japan. And so I bought this it was called a Dirt Squirt. Still have it. I completely restored it. It's sitting in my garage right now. I still race it actually. Um, and then it just snowballed. I thought, you know what I'll do is I'll buy one and I'll restore it over the winter, and then I'll sell it, and that'll kind of contribute to my motocross hobby. Well, that never happened. Every single time I buy one to restore, I end up keeping it. So now I've got, oh, it's not, I have a very understanding wife, but I absolutely love racing. I started racing with the Alberta Old Timers in, I think it was 2009, racing the newer bikes. Had a pretty good wreck one day out at Devil's Lake. Ended up breaking a few ribs on this side. I had a chest tube in here. My lung collapsed a little bit. Spent a few days in the hospital. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to switch to the vintage bikes. They seem to be a little safer. So now I race nothing but vintage bikes. All my bikes now are pre 1979. But
Oh,
I
okay.
absolutely love it. Yeah. And it's not even so much the dirt bike racing; it's the camaraderie. You know, just get to hang out and chat dirt bikes and stuff when we go to the races. The racing's obviously a great part of it, but just the social aspect of it is, I love it. I absolutely love it. We raced this past weekend in Stettler. Both my bikes ran terribly. I barely even made it onto the track, but still had a great day.
So okay, okay. So you're saying vintage bikes makes you safer than the newer bikes?
I like to think so. Probably not, because
Really? Wow.
they
Oh.
have terrible suspension. Um, yeah, I try not to ride out of my comfort zone. It's the moments when
Uh,
I ride out of my comfort zone that's when you end up getting hurt.
ah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, okay. Who are you now outside of radio?
You know, I'm just a regular guy. When I get home, I try to take that side of life and put it to the side. And when I get home, I'm a dog owner. I'm surprised they haven't been barking and yelling and screaming and anything and everything that walks by, because there's always somebody walking by the house. And I have miniature schnauzers, and they tend to go a little crazy. And I am just a dad and a husband. I love my wife. I love spending as much time as I possibly can with Nicole, and my girls Peyton and Jordan are absolutely fantastic. I'm incredibly proud. So I'm just a family guy, pretty quiet too. On the weekends we do a lot of just stuff around the house. We like gardening and yard work and metal detecting. My wife and I are big metal detectors. Her more so than me, but we love going metal detecting and looking for old rusty garbage and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I've definitely gotten good at separating, or trying to separate, the one side from the other side.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Nice. 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 You say you do gardening. What do you garden?
Well, we've got an older house in St. Albert, and the yards are so big that we've got a nice little garden with. I like spice. I love spice. So we've got some hot peppers in there. Got some carrots, some lettuce. My wife likes spices, so we have some spices and things, and then just a lot of perennials and annuals. And yeah, I like feeding the birds. I kind of taken after my dad that way. He was a big bird watcher and photographer and stuff. So I've always got bird seed out there, and we feed the squirrels. My neighbors love that. One afternoon, just a few years ago, noticed my neighbor going through his shed, and he kind of had this disgruntled look on his face. And I thought, oh, wonder what he's doing over there. And he went and got his shop vac. He came back, and I could hear him vacuuming up all the peanuts that the squirrel that was coming to our yard, grabbing the squirrels and then hiding them in his shed. And he found them all, and there was just a pile of them. But yeah, we just love gardening in the backyard, and doing what you can to. It's kind of my oasis, our oasis. We hang out in the backyard a lot, play a little football and stuff. So
Nice.
I love gardening. Yeah.
Oh, you play football. So are you an Elks fan?
I am not.
Oh.
Being born in Ottawa, I'm a Red Blacks fan. We're off to a horrible
Oh.
start. We're 0-2 already. We were playing Calgary on the 21st, but yeah, I'm an Ottawa Red Blacks fan. When I was a kid in Ottawa, I played football briefly, and
Oh.
I was a big Tony Gabriel fan, number 77. Loved Tony Gabriel, and he played for the Ottawa Rough Riders back then. They've gone through a bunch of different name changes, but
Oh.
I was a huge Tony Gabriel fan. So
Tony
yeah,
Gabriel.
always been an Ottawa fan.
Nice. Ottawa fan. Even you're now in Edmonton. Still an Ottawa fan.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's your values, purpose, passion, and strengths?
What are my values?
Yep.
You know what? I'm just a big believer and a big fan of kindness. If you can make a difference in somebody's day, every day. And it can be something as simple as holding a door. You look nice today, playing a request when I'm on the radio. I'm just a big believer in spreading kindness and goodwill. There's not enough of that in the world these days. So any chance I get to lend a helping hand, even to some of the charities I work with, like the Operation Friendship Senior Society, I do a lot of work with them. MC there a couple of events with them over the years. Just spreading kindness. I'm a big believer that we need a whole lot more kindness, and so any chance I get to make somebody smile, that's kind of my thing for the day.
Okay. So so far that's your values.
Mm-hmm. What were the other two?
Three actually: purpose, passion, and strengths.
My strengths. My purpose. I think they all kind of work together, to be honest with you. I think my purpose is it is spreading. Maybe that's not spreading kindness, but just bringing a little joy to somebody's day with the radio show. It's all about letting people tell their stories. I'm a big believer that's getting people on the air and telling stories and telling me their stories is, people still kind of like hearing themselves on the radio. Back in the 80s,
Oh
70s,
yeah.
people used to love hearing themselves on the radio. And then you started getting into the texting and stuff. Well, if you've got a story to tell, I'd much rather have you tell it to me than you text it to me and me read it, because you're going to tell me and give me all the passion. And, you'll have those exciting moments or whatever the story's about. So yeah, just bringing a little joy to somebody's day every morning. That's kind of my purpose, I think.
Mhm. Okay. So that's your purpose. So the next two. Will that be the same with passion and strengths, or?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So next is, why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do? Hmm. Yeah, it's one of those businesses where I get to touch people and they touch me every day. I talk to some of the most amazing people every single day. They phone the show and they tell me their stories, and they have this comfort with me because they'll gladly tell me anything and everything. And I've always been that guy too. I've always been a fairly open book. I'll talk about all sorts of stuff, whether it be mental health or family, whatever. Um, yeah, I think that those are definitely that's my purpose. That's my strength. That's why I do it. I still love the business. I'll be pushing 35 years in radio come my birthday in July. So I'll never forget the first day I went to Slave Lake, and it was my birthday in July of 1992. My dad dropped me off. I had sunglasses on instead of my glasses. He pulled away. I had my sleeping bag, I had a ghetto blaster, and some clothes. And as he drove away, I was in tears. And I walked into the radio station. I said, "Hi, I'm Sean. I'm here." And the manager said, "Okay, nice to see you." And he left. I was like, "Okay." And, here we are 30 plus years later, and I'm still doing it. And I still get up at 4 in the morning and make my way into work, get a cup of coffee going. And yeah, I still love it. I really, really do.
Okay. All right. So next set of questions. Questions about radio.
Yeah.
So seven, how did you get into radio?
It's funny. I remember sitting in an English 33 class. I got the most general diploma you could possibly get. And a buddy of mine behind me was talking about he was going to get into radio. And I said, "Yeah, actually, I'm going to get into radio too." And he's like, "Yeah, sure, sure." And I did a little investigating. Back then, there was a school called Columbia Academy. I don't even know if they exist anymore. It used to be on 124th Street, just a little south of Stony Plain Road. And I ended up going to the school. I got a little side gig. It was all free, completely volunteer. Back in the late 80s, Videotron, which later became Shaw Cable, had a spot out in the West End on their 184th Street location there. And they had a radio station on the weekends, because back in the 80s, we used to hook cable up to our stereos. You could hook cable up and you get radio stations from all over the place.
Oh,
And when I started there, we were called Hot 97 or something. We played like all different kinds of stuff. It was block programming, so you had dance music. I had an all Canadian show. There was a Saturday night dance music mix. It was all kinds of stuff. And I volunteered in there for a couple of years after radio school. And then bang, 1992, I got my first job at CKWA in Slave Lake. And
oh,
then after about a year there, I ended up in Cold Lake. I did mornings up there for about 4 years or so. And then in 1997, I came back to Edmonton.
nice. Nice. So you're saying wait, is Hot 97 the cable cable radio station for the Columbia Academy?
No, Hot 97 was actually with Videotron Cable, which later became Shaw Cable. It was,
Oh,
yeah, you hooked cable, like, your wall cable, your standard cable for TV. You'd hook that cable into your receiver on your stereo, and you'd get different radio stations. Like, we used to listen to Zoo FM out of Spokane all the time. I was like, oh, Zoo FM. And it was a really neat CHR station. And
oh,
it all just kind of snowballed from there. I remember, going to Klondike days when we were kids, and I'd have fun with the buskers saying, hey, step right up. And somebody said, you should really get into radio. You sound kind of cool doing that. So I went to radio school. I think I failed the entrance exam, which is kind of
oh,
funny,
wow.
but they
Oh,
but they
that's
but they let me in anyway. And 10 months later, and I think it cost me about $7,000 or something. And then
oh.
2 years later, I got the first job.
Okay. Nice. Two things about cable radio. What do you think about cable radio? And do you think we still have it?
I don't think we do. I don't think it's a thing anymore. And you think you got the internet and streaming services and everything. I don't think it's a thing anymore. But back in the '80s, it was pretty cool because you'd get these stations that you just couldn't get from anywhere, right? So
So cable radio was pretty much fun, right?
yeah, it's done. I think, yeah.
I mean, like really fun.
Oh, we had a great time doing it. Absolutely. Yeah, it was a lot of fun because we were playing music that I'd never ever heard before. And then I took over, I started doing a Sunday morning show, and it was just nothing but Canadian music. So back then it was like Platinum Blonde and Haywire and Glass Tiger and Tom Cochran, Red Rider and Prism and Street Heart. Like it was a lot of fun. I had a great time there.
Nice. Glass Tiger. Big. Well, I love listening to Glass Tiger too as well.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Glass Tiger. I always wanted
Well,
to be
that's
Alan. I wanted to be Alan Frew, to be honest with you.
really
Yeah, oh
nice.
yeah. There was a video for the song "Someday." He had this red beret, and I
Someday.
thought, geez, I got to buy a beret. I think that's a good look. I never did, but it was a good look.
Serious, sorry. I gotta be honest with you. My love for Glass Tiger came from the breeze.
Oh, there you go. Good deal.
Yeah. All right. So next one is 7.5 actually. Who do you idolize in the radio industry, if not in general?
Well, I had two guys that were fairly big influences. I was a huge, and still am to this day, Rick Dees fan. I loved Rick Dees.
Ooh,
Rick
these.
Dees and the Weekly Top
The top
40.
40. We had them. We had them in my hometown of Cebu. Why 101?
Okay, so in like in 1992, no, 93, maybe 94, I sent Rick Dees in Los Angeles. I sent him an air check. I sent him a tape of my radio show. And
Nice.
yeah, and I
Cool.
thought, just to see what happened, see if he'd actually reply. And he sent me back a letter, some handwritten stuff, and then an autographed 8x10. And it just made my life. My gosh, I couldn't believe it. Rick Dees took a chance and or took some time to listen to my stuff. I couldn't believe it. He said, I'm sure I'm going to hear big things about you one day. And then the other one was Rob Christie. I was a big
Ooh.
Rob Christie fan when he was at Power 92 back in the '90s. Loved Rob Christie, and I'll never forget coming home after doing my radio show in Cold Lake one day, and I hit there's a message on my answer machine. So I hit the thing, and Sean, it's Rob Christie from Power 92. Just took a listen to your tape, sounding really good, man. And I just went, wow, and you don't come across guys like that very often in this business, or maybe you do, I don't know, but that take the time to listen to the young guys and give them some help. And I just had huge respect for him taking a few minutes out of his day to give me a call, and he and I are friends to this day. I
Oh.
actually took over for him at when he retired at Capital FM in
Yep.
whatever year that was. I took over for him, which was just like it just blew my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm taking over for Rob. I couldn't believe it. But those are my two big ones for sure.
Oh, okay. Well, but how about in a country radio since you've been in a country radio for so long?
Hmm. It was never about. See, when it came to personalities for me, it was never about what music they were playing. It was what they were doing between the records, right, or between
Oh.
the songs. It's that moment where you have a chance to connect with the audience, like yourself, right? So I wasn't really too much worried about what was being played. I was worried about what they were saying and how they were saying it and how they were doing it.
Hmm.
So there was no real. It really didn't matter what format they were in. Those were just my guys.
Yep.
And when I started, I wasn't doing country music. Like when I started in Slave Lake, we were kind of all over the place. We played all different kinds of music. And then when I went to Cold Lake, it was all we were basically a rock station. So I actually went from a rock poppy station to country. So I actually started on the other side.
Oh, so rock popping country in Cold Lake. That is K Rock, right?
Yeah, but back then it was 1340 CJCM. It was an AM station.
Oh, a rock on AM.
It was a little, it was, it was the early 90s, right? So it was a little different. They didn't have an FM signal up there. So
Ah,
yeah, a long time ago.
I believe it's Boom 95.3 now. I think CJXK.
That's right. I think it's a Stingray station up there now. Yeah.
Yep, yep. Still, yeah, I'm pretty sure. That's.
Well, you know your stuff, buddy. Holy cow.
It's yeah. I got them from Wikipedia. It's nothing
Nice.
wrong.
Well, good job.
Well, yeah, but it was formerly owned by Telemedia then, right?
That's right. And it
Then
was also there was also a company called Nornet
oh yeah, that.
in the early 90s. So they had stations in when I started, they owned Slave Lake, Westlock, High Prairie, Fort St. John, Fort Nelson,
Claremore.
Cold Lake. They had one in Wainwright,
Oh yeah.
Wetaskiwin. Yeah, there was a bunch of stations, and the owner was actually based out of Westlock.
Oh
He lived in
wow.
a
Oh
house right next door to the radio station.
oh wow. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
Man, I like yeah, yeah. To you, it's do you think those times were the golden ages of radio for you?
I don't know that it was the golden age. It was one of those. It was we were just I think of some of the guys I work with. We were all just a bunch of young guys learning to do it. You know what I mean? And we had
Oh,
it was just we were all learning. Trying new things. We had great management that would work for some good guys who would give you enough rope to hang yourself, and we'd have. We just had a lot of fun inside and out the station too, right? Because we were all young bucks, so a lot of us lived together, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Things have changed so much over the years. It's back then, just to give you an idea, in Cold Lake, we had a full staff. So I did a morning show. We had a news
nice.
person. There was a midday show. There was a drive show and an evening show for a small market station. That was 10.
Oh,
I don't even think we were 10,000. It was, it was way different. Now up there, I don't think there's anybody even live up there anymore. So
that
things
sucks.
have
That
changed. It,
sucks,
it
right?
definitely, yeah. And you think of the 90s, like that was the 90s. You go back to the 70s and through the 80s, those guys were having some fun that we can't even talk about. Because it was a
Oh,
completely different kind of, yeah, they were having a good time.
okay, all right. Okay, so next, you did this you did a stunt though. You did a crazy thing back in 2012, driving a Segway to Saskatoon to the CCMA, and
Yep.
also rode a Vespa to the CCMA 3 times. Tell me about it.
Yep.
Was it worth it?
Oh, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. So the first one I did a Vespa ride. We came up with this idea. Hey, you know what you should do? Let's ride a Vespa to the CCMAs, and it was in Regina the first year. I didn't have my motorcycle license, and we had a 110cc Vespa scooter that was given to us for as a loaner. So I had to get my motorcycle license. So I got my license on that Vespa literally days before the trip was taking place.
Really?
So I
Wow.
rode. Yeah, it was just crazy. So I rode from Edmonton to oh my gosh, down Highway 14 anyway. And then went. So the first trip was Regina. The second year, pardon me, I rode from pardon me, Edmonton to Winnipeg.
Oh,
And that was a long one. Like these were 12-hour days. They went for like I started in the morning and I didn't end until 5, 6 o'clock, and they took forever. And met some wonderful people along the way. Rolled into Winnipeg, was actually greeted by the country band Doc Walker,
nice.
and it was fantastic. Then the third year with the Vespa, we thought, you know what, it's in Vancouver, let's try that. Well, out all the way to Jasper and then down through Kamloops, the Coquihalla. Just imagine being on the Coquihalla Highway on this goofy little Vespa with rigs going, flying by you. It was terrifying. But made it to Vancouver. And then the next year we thought, well, how do we change this up a little bit? So we got a Segway from, there's a business down in the River Valley in Edmonton that rents Segways, and they gave us one with a couple of batteries. And it's a special trip, that one specifically, only because my parents were in the chase vehicle. So my dad was
Oh,
in the truck with my mom. uh, I lost them. I can't tell you how many times because my dad, like I mentioned earlier, was a big nature guy. So he'd see things like maybe a deer or a duck or a hawk or something on the side of the road. He'd stop while I'd be booting down the highway on this goofy segway. And like turn around behind me. I'm like, where's my battery? I did because I'd be having to switch batteries out as I was driving down the highway. And yeah, that was a great trip. Rolled into Saskatoon. There's a big statue of Gordie Howe sitting in the arena parking lot. Ended up on the news and stuff. That was
oh,
fun. That was a tougher one only because we had to switch out the battery so many times. And by the time the first battery would die, I'd get that other one charged maybe half. And so I was constantly basically at half battery power. So it was that was a tough one. And just, I wasn't very good at segways. Have you ever been on a segway? They're goofy.
oh no, no, I've never been on
They're
a
not easy
Segway.
to ride. Like it's all about
Really?
that you
Like
got to
the
get that.
balance?
Yeah, it's all about balancing and being forward, and then to stop, you pull back. Yeah, they're a little sketchy, but it was a lot of fun, so worth it. And yeah, that's kind of how I at the beginning of my career, I was that was my thing. I did all the goofy stunts, and we did countless stunts
Oh, nice.
back in the day. Like if you go on. I think some of them are still up on my old YouTube channel at Burke Boy on YouTube, but there's a bunch of my old stunts on there along with a bunch of dirt bike racing and stuff. But yeah, that was kind of my thing back in the day.
Okay, so in your opinion though, what do you think of radio stunts? Since you did that goofy stunt.
I think you know what there's still a few stations doing it. There's still some guys out there doing it, and um, I think they're fun. They're not hurting anybody, and if it gets the audience talking, that's a good thing. So bring them on. I think they're a lot of fun.
Nice, nice. Next is how did it feel when you were hired at CFWE? What's it like working there now?
I'm having a blast. I got to tell you, I'm working with some great people. It's a great station. When I'm on in the morning, I'm not only on in Edmonton, I'm on in Edmonton, Fort McMurray, Grand Prairie, Cold Lake, Peace River, Grand Prairie. Did I say Grand Prairie? Red Deer, Calgary, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat. Like we're a province-wide morning show. So when I'm on, I'm playing Alberta's Best Country province-wide. So I get calls from everywhere. Every time I answer that phone, I don't know where they're calling from, but I'm working with great people. I've been there. It'll be 3 years actually, pretty soon here in September. And yeah, it was. I'm at a point. I was at a point in my career when I got the job that I thought I'd done. I was kind of finished learning things, but I'm learning stuff every day still,
Oh,
which is
nice.
great. And yeah, we're having a blast, meeting some wonderful people, learning some new things, and really playing some great music. And like I said, the amount of people that phone in and are more than willing to share their stories and um, what makes them smile, what makes them happy, whatever my topic of the day is. It's a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
Okay, you were in Slave Lake and Cold Lake before, now that you think your show will you think your show yeah, can be heard there though on Slave Lake and Cold Lake?
Yep, absolutely. We've got towers everywhere. Like we've got, I think recently we announced we've got over 1 million watts of tower power. So
Nice.
between Calgary and Edmonton and Lethbridge and Medicine Hat and Red Deer and all these different places, we're over 1 million watts now. So if you find yourself losing our signal, push the button. You'll find us again because we've got signals everywhere.
Yeah, okay. Uh, since you used to work there though, is there you know anyone from Slave Lake and Cold Lake that knew you during your radio days when you worked at those places?
It's so weird. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've talked to a few people who were like, "Hey, I remember. Are you that guy that worked here back in the '90s?" Yeah, I'm definitely that guy from the '90s. And that's so weird when you say the '90s because the '90s are like 25 years ago, which is so
Yeah.
strange. Math and it boggles
Oh,
my mind. But yeah, I definitely have, and it's nice to hear from them. And the fact that they recognize my name or recognize my voice, because my voice was way different. I think back to the Slave Lake days. It was hi, it's it's a little different now, but yeah, that's happened more than a few times.
okay. Oh boy, I gotta do this quick though. Meeting will end in 10 minutes since this is a
Oh,
pre count so far.
okay.
Okay, we got last two questions. 2012. What are your thoughts on radio jingles in particular? That is, jingles singing the names of stations. Big
You know,
fan of that, by the way.
I've always liked radio jingles. I've always, I think you have to have a mix. I think you have jingles and then you just have the splitters, right? You know, now back to more of Alberta's best country on CFWE, but I like jingles as well. I think they both sound fantastic. And I'll never forget the first time I heard my name sung in a jingle. Now, when you hear that for the first time and it's your name or in a splitter and it's voiced by, because the voice guy's always this, big, this big voiced guy, you're listening to Sean Burke in the morning. When you hear that for the first time, it's one of the coolest things ever. So when you hear it sung in a jingle, I always thought it was incredibly cool. I have no problem with either.
Nice. But you've heard of any jingle companies that do your jingles?
I don't know. A lot of that stuff's done out of Nashville, believe it or not. Like they literally have studios that are just knocking that stuff out like this, right? And they just, say there's 5 different radio stations, they can just knock them out. And now I think with AI and things, I'm sure you could even make your own probably.
Yeah.
What a terrifying thought that is.
Yeah. It's terrifying. Wait. Most of the jingles are made from Nashville.
That's what back in the day they were anyway. Because that's where a lot of your studios are, at least for the country side of things. Right, because you could have all those country singers, background singers, all that stuff. A lot of those background singers will do jingles as side projects and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and lastly, in your opinion, how is local radio important to you and for everyone and for everybody else?
I think it's incredibly important. You take weather situations, for example, or the forest fire situations. If you don't have somebody live and local in those radio stations giving you up to the date, up to the minute information about where you need to go, what's happening, whatever it is, whether it be weather or even just community events on the weekend or up to the minute traffic information, it's incredibly important. And you're seeing more and more stations now with people live all the time, and that's a good thing because connecting with an audience when you're not really there, but your voice is, when you're voice tracked or something, it's a little tougher, right? So local is incredibly important.
Okay.
And especially even with your news departments as well, right? All that stuff. It's all in there.
All right. So I guess I believe this is it for this podcast.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you asking, man. I really, really do. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best with Toastmasters.
First, you know anything about Toastmasters?
I don't know. Well, it's all about public speaking and stuff, isn't it?
Yes, public speaking.
And that's what's interesting. When it comes to me, I'm one of those guys that I can do anything in that radio studio, but you put me in front of a crowd. Big crowd I can do. I can MC in front of a big crowd, no problem. Put me in front of a smaller crowd, I get incredibly nervous. Nervous.
Oh well, first okay. First of all, thank you for answering my invitation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for asking. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Now only I wonder how can I take a picture of us here on Zoom though, because it's possible. I believe it's possible. I wonder how am I going to do that?
Just do a screenshot? Are you on a computer or on a phone?
Computer. So yeah, I think screenshot is good. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, go. All right. Thank you, Sean.
Hey, anytime, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean.
Absolutely. Right. If you need anything else, just shoot me another email, buddy.
All right. Thank you. Bye.